while I would love to sit around chit-chatting about feeding and not feeding, I have a Fluttershy to save.
Hey, Prince Charming, you want a megaphone so the rest of the hive can hear that? Hey everyone, Jordan Lego Comics here, and I have to say, I found the Season 6 finale to be a pretty good episode. I like how it managed to focus on reformed villains being the heroes, I enjoyed the return of the Changelings, and I thought it was a pretty good Starlight Glimmer episode. Speaking of Starlight, I think To Where and Back Again is Starlight's heroic journey. For those of you who don't know, the hero's journey is a story structure where the hero dives into a completely different, usually dangerous world. The concept of the hero's journey was introduced by Joseph Campbell in his book, The Hero with 1,000 Faces. Now, the hero's journey is spread across a 3-act structure of a story in 12 different stages. Act 1 is where we have the ordinary world, where we are introduced to the hero in his or her home environment, the call to adventure, the refusal to the call, where the hero hesitates, and meeting with the mentor. Moving on to Act 2, this is where the hero enters the special world. We have crossing the first threshold, where the hero reaches the point of no return, the tests, allies, and enemies, the approach to the innermost cave, where the main villain dwells, the ordeal, where the hero confronts said villain, and the reward, or seizing the sword. Moving into Act 3, we have the final 3 stages of the hero's journey. The road back, the resurrection, where the hero undergoes some form of purification, and returning with the elixir, where the hero makes it back home, showing how much he or she has matured on the journey. Now, the most obvious example of the hero's journey is indeed Star Wars. Not just Episode 4, but also Episodes 5 and 6, the last of which is my favorite. But anyways, other obvious examples include Lord of the Rings trilogy and The Hobbit, as well as origin stories for superheroes like Marvel's Captain America, The First Avenger, and Doctor Strange. But other examples are Homer's The Odyssey and the Arthurian tale of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. So with all that out of the way, I'm going to take a look at To Where and Back Again as the hero's journey for Starlight Glimmer. So let's get started. So at the start of the episode, we see Starlight in her ordinary world. She's Twilight's student, she lives in Ponyville, and she's become a better pony. You know, compared to what she was in Season 5. So then we get our call to adventure delivered to Starlight by, officially named by Hasbro, Muffins, or Derpy, as us bronies still like to call her. This is where Starlight's invited back to the Sunset Festival back in her old village. This is where Starlight has the refusal of the call. Now, the refusal of the call doesn't automatically mean that the hero outright says no, but rather the hero hesitates. In Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, Sir Gawain is nervous about going back to the Green Chapel to meet the Green Knight. That's what Starlight's refusal is like. Now, yes, we did see her apologize to her friends at the end of the Season 5 finale, and since her reformation, Starlight has changed. But she hasn't taken on the role of a leader. For her to be offered a role that she played when she was evil can cause her to be hesitant and doubt herself. So anyways, Starlight does gain guidance from 2 mentors in this episode. The first mentor she's guided by is Princess Luna. Now, given that Luna herself has struggled to forgive herself for her past sins as Nightmare Moon, she is a perfect mentor for Starlight. And of course, Luna advises Starlight to talk to Twilight and the rest of the main 7 about how she feels. And in this episode, Twilight and the rest of the main 7, and Spike, give Starlight good advice. So later, Starlight asks Trixie to come along with her back to her village. By returning to her village, this is where Starlight crosses the first threshold. She's put under a lot of pressure with all the villagers asking her for advice. You see, the ordinary world is like the hero's comfort zone. By crossing the threshold, the hero's stepping out of said comfort zone. But in most heroic journeys, the threshold is the point of no return. And yet Starlight and Trixie head back to Ponyville. Yeah, this is where the 2-parter deviates from the hero's journey structure. You see, this would count as the road back, if it was towards the end of the story. But nothing has been accomplished yet. and Starlight's still in self-doubt, though Trixie does try to help by admitting that even she's made mistakes, so I guess you could argue that there's a little bit of growth with Starlight, but not enough for this to count as the road back. So after we find out that the rest of the main seven, and Spike, as well as the Royal Sisters, have been pony-napped, we are reintroduced to fan-favorite villain Queen Chrysalis. Then this is where we see Starlight gain her allies, Thorax and Discord, as well as Trixie. Now Thorax is my favorite of the three, and when you think about it for a moment, this is also his heroic journey as well as Starlight's. You see, a hero's journey doesn't have to always focus on one hero. For example, the Lord of the Rings trilogy isn't just Frodo's, but it's also Aragorn's heroic journey. In Fellowship of the Ring, he isolated himself, wanting nothing to do with his royal heritage. But by Return of the King, Aragorn embraces that heritage and becomes the righteous king for humans in Middle-earth. When Thorax left the Changeling Hive and made friends in the Crystal Empire, he followed a more righteous path, making all the more sense why he would be the new leader of the Changelings after Queen Chrysalis has been usurped. So he can now lead the rest of the Changelings down that righteous path as well. And the two-parter also deviates from the structure a bit by having Thorax have the power to defeat Chrysalis and not Starlight. At the beginning of part 2, we have our heroes approach the inmost cave, that being the Changeling Hive. And we get to see some cool action sequences with Thorax disguised as Trixie dealing with the Changelings, as well as some entertainment with Discord attempting stand-up comedy. Yeah, as if that went well last time. Jokes aside, this is where the heroes face numerous challenges until Starlight and Thorax make it to the throne room, where Queen Chrysalis is. And in this story, Chrysalis serves as the ordeal. And this is a good choice because Chrysalis is like Starlight's dark reflection. Both ruled by having their subjects obey them to the letter, and both were selfish rulers. With Starlight reformed, she and Chrysalis are now polar opposites. Much like how Darth Vader and the dark side of the Force are polar opposites to Luke Skywalker. Now, the next stage would be the reward, but for To Where and Back Again, we get a resurrection first. And again, since this is also Thorax's heroic journey, he has a resurrection, and that comes in the form of his evolution, when he willingly gives Chrysalis all of the love inside of him. Kind of like in Return of the Jedi, where Luke defeats Darth Vader, but refuses to kill him, which would mean turning over to the dark side. By defying the Emperor and proclaiming, "I am a Jedi like my father before me," Luke is succeeding where his father had failed, which makes Luke a true hero. Now, as this results in Darth Vader turning back to the good side and destroying the Emperor, Thorax's resurrection results in the rest of the Changeling Hive to follow by Thorax's example. You see, the reward part of the hero's journey doesn't have to be a physical object like a lightsaber, a cape, or an indestructible shield, which are all pretty cool. Rather, the reward can be a form of reconciliation, as I just mentioned with the Changeling Hive turning to the good side as Vader did towards the end of Episode 6. Now this is also Starlight's resurrection as well, when she offers Chrysalis a chance at redemption the same way Twilight offered her back in Season 5. Now yes, Chrysalis does reject Starlight's offer, but at least Starlight was willing to reach out to Chrysalis. If I was Starlight's teacher, I'd be proud of her too. And so, with Starlight returning to her village, she is returning with the elixir. And keep in mind, the elixir doesn't have to be a physical object, it can be experience or knowledge. She's grown more confident in herself, and therefore she's able to take on the role of a leader. A more righteous leader. At the start of the journey, Starlight was afraid that she hasn't become a better pony. But throughout her journey, and ultimately returning to her village once more, Starlight has realized that she has become a better pony. And that is how I think To Where and Back Again is the hero's journey for Starlight Glimmer. Now while it doesn't follow the structure exactly, it does have a lot of elements in it. Now, I would like to know what you guys think of this two-parter. Did you enjoy Starlight's heroic journey? What are your thoughts on the new Changeling's designs? And what is one of your favorite films that follows the hero's journey structure? Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm Jordan LEGO Comics, and I'll see you all next time.